Someone at a bar explained the offside rule to you once. They used their hands, maybe some salt shakers. You nodded, you smiled, you understood absolutely nothing. Here is the truth. The offside rule is not complicated. It has been explained wrong, to you, to millions of people, for decades. The rule itself is 7 words long. 7. The confusion? That comes from something else entirely, something nobody tells you about. Here is exactly how it works. Let's start with the core. The offside rule, in its most basic form, says this. You cannot be closer to the opponent's goal than the ball and the second to last defender at the moment the ball is played to you. That's it. That is the whole rule. Now, before your brain shuts down, let me translate that into something a human being can actually process. Picture a football pitch. 2 teams, 2 goals, 1 ball. You are an attacker. Your job is to score. The opposing team's job is to stop you. Now imagine you sneak behind all the defenders. You position yourself right next to the goalkeeper. Your teammate has the ball 40 meters away. He plays it to you. You tap it in. Goal. Except, that is not allowed. And here's why that makes perfect sense. You effectively removed the entire defending team from the equation. You cheated gravity, distance, and effort. You just stood there and waited for the ball to arrive. The offside rule exists so that cannot happen. The moment your teammate kicks the ball to you, not when you receive it, not when you run, the moment it leaves his foot, you must have at least 1 defender, not counting the goalkeeper, between you and the goal. If you do not, offside, free kick to the other team. That is the rule. Full stop. 7 words. Be level or behind the second defender. Now here is the part that makes the rule beautiful. Football at its core is a sport about space. Creating it, destroying it, exploiting it. Without the offside rule, attackers would simply park themselves at the edge of the opposing penalty area. That is the box near the goal, for the entire match waiting for a long ball to arrive. No pressing, no movement, no strategy, just farming. The game would look like a combination of golf and fishing. 2 sports that are excellent but not exactly football. The offside rule forces attackers to move. It forces defenders to think. It creates an entire tactical dimension of the sport called the offside trap, where defenders deliberately step forward at exactly the right moment to freeze an attacker in an illegal position. Think about that for a second. A defender's job is not just to tackle. It is also to move in perfect synchronization with teammates to manipulate space and time and catch the other team's striker in an invisible net. That is not a footnote. That is a chess match happening in real time at 60 kilometers per hour. The offside rule does not limit football. It is what makes football possible. Here's where it gets interesting. If the rule is 7 words, why is everyone so confused? Because of one tiny devastating phrase, at the moment the ball is played. Not when you receive the ball, not when you start your run, when the ball leaves your teammate's foot. This single phrase is responsible for approximately 97% of all offside arguments in living rooms worldwide. I made that statistic up, but you believe it because it feels true. Here is why it matters. Imagine a striker, let's call him Marcus, standing exactly level with the last defender. His teammate plays the ball. Marcus sprints forward, he receives it, one-on-one with the goalkeeper. The crowd explodes. But wait, was Marcus offside? The linesman, that is the referee's assistant running along the sideline with a flag, saw something you did not. At the exact nanosecond that pass was played, Marcus's shoulder was half a centimeter ahead of the defender. Half a centimeter. Goal disallowed. And this is where the rule gets genuinely fascinating, because in modern football, the decision is not made by human eyes anymore. It is made by cameras. Semi-automated technology. Lines drawn on screens using player tracking data and artificial intelligence. In the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, FIFA introduced a system that could track 29 data points on every single player on the pitch. 29, including the exact position of each limb in 3-dimensional space, all to catch a shoulder. You thought offside was about standing in the wrong place. It turns out it is a battle between biology, physics, and machine learning. Here is the hidden detail that even fans who have watched football for 20 years regularly get wrong. You can only be offside if you're involved in active play. What does that mean? If a ball is played forward and you are in an offside position, but you do not touch the ball, you do not distract the goalkeeper, you do not interfere with the play in any meaningful way, you're not penalized. You can stand offside, legally. This is the part that turns pub arguments into philosophy seminars, because the question becomes, what counts as interfering? If a defender looks over his shoulder, sees you standing there, and hesitates for a fraction of a second, did you interfere? You did not touch a single thing, but your presence changed the outcome. Referees and their assistants must make this judgment call in real time at full speed. And then there is the second hidden detail, one that produces some of the most dramatic reversals in modern football, deliberate saves and deflections. If a ball is on its way to a player in an offside position and a defender deliberately saves or blocks it, the offside is cancelled. The defender's intervention resets the play, but if the ball deflects accidentally off a defender, offside stands. The intention of the defender's touch must be judged in an instant by officials, deliberate or accidental. A philosophical question, decided in seconds, on the world stage. Welcome to football. Let's anchor all of this to something real. The 1966 World Cup final, England versus West Germany at Wembley Stadium in London. Still one of the most debated matches in football history. England won 4-2 in extra time. One of the most famous goals in football history, Geoff Hurst's third, the one that confirmed the victory, was controversial because of whether the ball fully crossed the line. But in that same era, offside traps were already reshaping how teams defended. Tactical offside, stepping up to catch attackers, became a defining feature of elite European football through the 1970s and 80s. Then came the 1990 World Cup in Italy. A tournament so defensively suffocating, so dominated by offside traps, that FIFA changed the offside rule afterward. They made it so that a player level with the last defender was now onside. Previously level meant offside. One word changed. One word. And it fundamentally altered the balance between attack and defense across the entire sport. That is how significant this rule is. Fast forward to 2023. In the Champions League, that is the prestigious competition between the best club teams across Europe, Tottenham Hotspur had a goal against Manchester City controversially ruled out because a video review showed a player's armpit in an offside position. An armpit. The rules were subsequently debated and adjusted again. Because in football, the offside rule is never truly settled. It evolves, it adapts, and it continues to generate more passion per centimeter than almost any other regulation in sport. And now, heading into the 2026 FIFA World Cup, across the United States, Canada, and Mexico, the offside rule, the VAR technology, and the semi-automated detection systems will be under more scrutiny than ever. Because the world will be watching, and the margins will be brutal. An armpit, a shoulder, half a centimeter, millions of hearts broken. That is football. Let's bring it home. The offside rule says when the ball is played to you, you must have at least one outfield defender, not the goalkeeper, between you and the goal. It exists because without it, football collapses into chaos. The rule forces movement, creates tactics, and gives defenders a weapon that is invisible to most fans. The confusion comes not from the rule itself, but from its timing. It triggers at the moment the ball is played, not when you receive it. And from the judgment it requires, is that player active? Was that touch deliberate? Modern technology now tracks 29 data points per player to enforce it. And one rule change in 1990, just one word, transformed the entire sport. 7 words. Decades of drama. You have been explaining it wrong your entire life. Now you can stop. The game has not changed. You have. You're welcome. Subscribe if you enjoyed this type of content. It means a lot.